Hello, movie lovers everywhere. How's everybody today? It's Friday. You're with Bob. Bob of the North, the guy who lives in Cosburn Avenue. Yeah, got the door open here, letting a little air in. Nice day. Blue sky, a little bit of clouds. A little cool, but not bad. You know what I mean? Not bad. We're not talking winter coat here. Anyway, here to talk about movies. I didn't watch that many movies this week because I watched a couple of hockey games. Go shopping, get some groceries, so time cut in on the movie department. But anyway, let's talk about movies. Alright, movies I watched this week. Well, is that good for you? Put some hair on your friggin' toes. Oh. Alright, I watched the movie on TCM. I recorded it, and I recorded, the thing you got, the box there, whatever. Finally got around to watching it. I seen it before. I watched it again. As always, some movies you can watch again. This one I watched again. I watched it a while ago, but I watched it again. Here it is. It's called A Caterd Affair. Stars Ernest Borgnine, Betty Davis, yes, Betty Davis, and Debbie Reynolds. The wife of a Bronx taxi driver wants to throw her daughter a huge, massive wedding. It's my daughter. I gotta throw her a wedding. Anyway, the taxi driving husband, he's saving up his money to buy his own cab with one of his buddies, Mel Blanc. You know Bugs Bunny? Yeah. Well, every time he turns around, this affair at this wedding is costing more and more money. Oh boy. Interesting story. I can't tell you about it because it will spoil it for you. But I did watch A Caterd Affair, and I did give it an 8. And if you haven't seen The Caterd Affair, Betty Davis does a wonderful job. Well, so does Ernest Borgnine and Debbie Reynolds. So if you haven't seen it, yeah, Bob recommends it. Should get out there and watch it. Find it somewhere, watch it. Alright, here, what else did I watch? Oh, I watched this one. Here we go. The Way Back. Yeah, The Way Back. It's in 1941. They're over in Russia. The Russians are taking over Germany. They're all fighting over there. Anyway, they get the Poles and everybody and the Russians, and they take them all to Siberia, right? So, not a very good, nice place to be. It's freaking cold, man. So few of these guys get a bright idea and to escape. So they escape and they travel 4,000 miles. Yes, across everything you can imagine. Heat, sand, cold, mountains, everything. 4,000 miles to get to India. To get to India, right? So, it was alright. It wasn't too bad of a movie. And that one stars Ed Harris. Yeah, Ed Harris and Jim Sturgis. But it's hard to understand who's the Russians and who's the Poles and who's this and that because most of them speak English. So it's one of those movies. Bear with that is something. I gave it a 6. Yeah, I gave it a 6. The Way Back from 19... what was it there, Bob? You're talking to yourself again? Yeah, no, 2011. 2011, yeah, The Way Back. It's a 6. Let me see. Oh, well, yeah, I also watched this, but I'll talk about this one later. Grand Hotel, right? Yep. Greta Garbo. Well, we'll talk about that in another video. And then I watched this one. It's called Reversion. See, Reversion. I'll tell you what this is about, right? It says, Luke King, wanted for killing the president, kidnaps Jerry and forces him to drive to a remote house in the desert. Luke waits for days, trying to flush out the men tracking him. Luke tries to convince Jerry that he's not the one who killed the president. It was a clone. And when the handlers arrive, Luke is forced to not only fight a physical battle, but a battle in his own mind. Yeah, starring Isaac Stephen Montgomery in Marshall Glen, Reversion. Yeah, well, they got to this place in the desert, and there's two of them there. The other guy's locked up with handcuffs. And the black guy here, right, he's having all these problems with his mind. He's thinking about things, remembering things, and, you know, stuff like that. So it has to do with a clone. They cloned this guy, right, you know, out of his fingernails and stuff, and sent the guy on to kill the president. I don't know how he killed the president or anything about that. Doesn't tell you, show you. But later on, when they're listening to the news, this clone, or him, or the clone, somebody got shot and killed in a building or something, and they thought, oh, it's all over. And then these guys show up at this, in the middle of the desert, to talk to this black guy that thinks he killed the president, or he didn't kill the president, I think. So yeah, it's a little confusing, but not bad. It's not a great movie. Most of it takes place in the desert. Nobody goes and pees. Nobody goes to the bathroom. Yeah, so I gave it a 6. So it doesn't get any more than 6. It doesn't rise. It doesn't get, you know, what's that word, and build itself up. It gets to a certain point and stays there. And you're sitting there going, you know, you want to, what is it? What's the word? You want a little bit more. You think something's going to happen, and it just becomes stale. So I gave it a 6. All right, what else did I watch? Okay, I watched on Netflix, of course, Netflix. I watched a movie called The Forbidden Kingdom with Jet Li and Jackie Chan, right? Story about this young guy gets thrown into the future, or thrown someplace, and he's got this staff, right? He has to return the staff to the monkey man. So I didn't really like it. I didn't care for it. The best thing about it was Jet Li and Jackie Chan fighting in the cave, right? The two of them going at it. That was fun. But the rest of the movie, all those things happening to it, right? There's, you know, lots of action, and it just, you know what I mean? I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it just didn't do it for me. I like Jet Li and Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan was the drunken guy, right? And Jet Li was the priest or the minister or whatever he was. But the best thing about it was the fight. Yeah, no, there was other fights, other sword fights and all this. But yeah, I never coughed all day until I'm sitting here making this movie, so, or a video. But anyway, yeah, The Forbidden Planet, or Kingdom, The Forbidden Kingdom, 2008 on Netflix. It's on there now, you can check it out. I gave it a 5. I didn't think it warranted any more than a 5. It was alright, you know, but it only gets a 5. And then on TCM, I also recorded this one from a few days, or a while back, I don't know how long ago, it tells you though, but I recorded So Proudly We Hail. 8 Army nurses in the Philippines during World War II. Claudette Colbert, Paulette Goddard, Veronica Lake, yeah, you know, the blonde with the flippy hair, yeah, and George Reeves, Superman from the early 50s on the TV show, you know, on TV, George Reeves. He had a very good part in this movie. I thought he acted it very well. He did a very good job, George Reeves, yes. So yeah, so they're over in the Philippines, and it's the story about the nurses taking care of the people that, you know, they got shot, and, you know, all the bad things, and all the men that are sick and dying and stuff like that. It's very, very, well, I shouldn't say it's a hard movie to watch, but yeah, based on true stories and all this, you know, stuff like that, right? Claudette Colbert, she's always been in a lot of good movies back then in the 40s and stuff, so yeah. I gave that a 7, a high 7, worthwhile 7. You can watch So Proudly We Hail again, right? No problem. Or I wouldn't watch The Forbidden Kingdom again, you know, it's like, no, I watched it. But that's it for that. Then, yes, you've seen these before. Yes, I watched The Wild in the Street, seen it at the show in 1968. Christopher Jones and Shelley Winters. I don't think Bobby Gass likes her too much, or there's a story about Shelley Winters. But anyway, this one gets a 7. Big 7, big 7. It's fun. This is an enjoyable movie. You get a laugh out of this. 14 or 5. Yeah, and they want to put all the old farts in storage, right? And they feed them ass, and they walk around, stumble around, and prayer. They say their prayers, and they look at the sun, and they dilly-dally and pick their nose, and all the old farts. Get in there. Have a drink of water. Oh yeah, now watch this movie. It's called Gass. Bobby Gass thought it might be a horror movie, but Bobby boy, it fooled you, man. You know what it is? It's a terrible movie. Nothing to do with horror at all. There's only one good thing about this movie. If you want to put it in contention, it has to do with Country Joe and the Fish. That's a little bit of them. Not much. Nothing really great. No, nothing really. But this is a terrible movie, Gass, and I didn't finish the movie. I never watched it all. Watched about an hour, and that was it. I couldn't do any more. Yeah. And who's in here? Who's in here? Bud Cort. Why does that name sound familiar? Bud Cort. He was in another movie, wasn't he? Bud Cort? It just sounds so familiar. Gass. Yeah, terrible movie. Didn't even finish watching it, like I said. Well, people, those are the movies I watched this week. Like I said, between watching hockey games and Blue Jays and TV shows and shopping and visiting your daughter for supper and doing odds and stuff, cuts down on your movie time, right? So, but anyway, that's what it is. The movies that I watched this week. Yeah, nice sunny day here in Toronto. Even though we're shut down for another 2 weeks, we're shut down to June the 2nd. Yep, it's a shit bill here. Yep, terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Anyway, cheers. I'll talk to you next week. All about the movies that Bob watched, which is me. Keep on watching those movies and stay safe.